So in the last video we saw how to do factoring by using this method of the organized trial and error. So I'm going to show you now how to do a little trick, a faster method for doing only simple trinomials though. So it goes like this. Let's notice that we are expanding here. If I have x plus 1 times x plus 5, I've got x times x gives me x squared, 1 times 5 gives me 5, 1x, 5x gives me 6x, correct? And the same way, I notice that, hey, so when I multiply the last two, I get the last number. And then this inside, because I only have 1x and 1x, is basically the same number that I'm adding them together. It gives me 6. So in this case, I have something that I would say, if I'm getting this, I say I need two numbers that multiply to 5 and they add up to 6. And then I'm thinking, what are those two numbers? Well, 5 and 1 multiply to 5, and 5 and 1 add up to 6, so 5 and 1 are the answer. Now when I have this one, I'll say x times x gives me x squared, minus 4 times minus 5 gives me plus 20, and then minus 4 minus 5 gives me minus 9. So notice something about the signs. When I have both positives, I get all numbers that are positive, and that makes sense. But when I have them negative, the last number will still be positive because I'm multiplying a minus times a minus, but the middle term is going to be negative. And then just fast forward to the bottom one. If I have a negative and a positive, my answer is going to be a negative at the end. And that's the telling signs, right? So it's positive and positive means that the signs are the same. But if the middle one is positive, it means that both numbers are positive. If the middle term is negative, it means that both terms are negative. There's a difference here. The minute I see that the last term is a negative number, that means that one's going to be plus, one's going to be minus, and the middle term is just going to be depending on what the two numbers are. So if my number, the positive number is bigger, well, that's going to be bigger. If my negative number is bigger, then my middle term is going to be negative 2, because I'm going to have like minus 8 plus 3, and it's going to be still a negative number, negative 5. So you notice that this works out to be, again, minus 4 minus 5 gives me minus 9. So again, I'm just looking for two numbers that multiply to 20, then add up to negative 9 if I was factoring. So I just think, what are two numbers that multiply to 20 that add up to negative 9? I say, okay, 10 and 2, that doesn't add up to negative 9, to 9. And then 4 and 5, they do, but 4 and 5 adds up to positive 9, so in order to make a negative 9, I need to have a minus 4 and a minus 5. Make sense? And lastly, the last one, same thing. So if I just need two numbers that multiply to negative 21, and they add up to 4. Okay, what two numbers multiply to negative 21 and add up to 4? Well, in 21, that's probably 7 and 3. With 7 and 3, can I make 4? So 7 and 3, one of them has to be positive, one has to be negative. And when I add them together, the plus 4, it has to end up to be plus 4. So the bigger one should be positive. So it must be 7 and minus 3. And yeah, it's 7 and minus 3. Of course, in those questions, we would not be seeing this, right? So let's look at an actual example. And let's see. This may look very familiar because they're the same I used for the previous video. But let's check this out. If I had something like this, I'd be looking for two numbers that multiply to 21 and add up to 10. I already know that my x squared, that's going to be just an x, right? But what two numbers multiply to 21 and add up to 10? I'll probably guess that it's 7 and 3. I'm going to take you one more step, and this is factored form. So what I really mean is now that the zeros for this equation are going to be negative 7 and negative 3, right? The parabola is going to cross at negative 7 and positive 3. Because I just want to put that number there. So just keep in mind that's what we're looking when factoring. We can get the zeros right away. So what about the zeros on this guy? I'd say 2x squared minus 8x plus 8. I notice that there's a 2. So therefore I cannot use that technique. Because that technique of two numbers that multiply and add is only when it's a simple trinomial. But just like in the last video, you know that you have to take common factor first. So if I take common factor, take a 2 outside, and that's what we get. So now that is a simple trinomial. So I cannot forget that too. That's very important. That's going to be the shape of our graph, right? So this is a vertical stretch. And then I need two numbers that multiply to positive 4 and add up to negative 4. So I can think of, okay, multiply the 4, it could be 4 and 1, but 4 and 1 will not add up to negative 4. I can't do that. So 2 and 2 multiplies to 4, but they don't add up to negative 4. Oh, unless I make negative 2 and negative 2. So negative 2 and negative 2 will give me my this simple trinomial. Check, minus 2 times minus 2 gives me 4, minus 2 and plus minus 2 gives me minus 4x, that's the one in the middle, and x give me the x squared, so that worked. Just like on the last video, I cannot leave this answer like this. I will have to write one more, say that it's minus 2 x squared, and that's properly factored. Now what does that mean? Well, that means that kind of looks like vertex form, and it can be seen as factored form too. So the reason why my 0 is going to be at positive 2. And there's only one 0, and because that's also the vertex. And now the shape is 2, so it opens up, and it's a stretch, and it goes something like this. This guy will open up or open down. Well, my a value is 1, so yes, also it's going to be somewhere there. I can get more information by zeros, axis symmetry, plug it back in. But if we just stick into factoring, you just do this step, get your answers, know that those are going to give you your zeros, but you may not need to mention them. And again, take a common factor, and if it's a simple trinomial, look for two numbers that multiply to this, and two numbers that multiply to the last term, and two numbers that add up when you multiply it adds up to the middle term, and then you get